I am Jim the Eternal. With me in the booth is Art Hunter Vera, and I am very excited for this upcoming race. We've got Nochibato on the left, SilentBrow on the right. Both of them, I believe, this is their first tournament, so this should be a really exciting match for the two of them. And I'm honestly just happy to be here and really excited to see what's going on. Vera, how you doing? How you feeling about this?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm secretly hoping for a very cursed run because those are the most interesting, but I hope they'll have a lot of fun.
So there is a lot of room for routing differences with the way that the flags have played out this year. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see sort of what these runners decide to do and where they decide to go. Cursed Seed or Jet Seed, I'm expecting to see a lot of differences between the two of them. So I think it'll be really interesting to see. And they're off.
Let's go. Blue plus.
Blue plus, not a bad start. Like, that is a usable orb. Blue is not miserable. And plus is... You could work with that. You could work with plus. Corruption plus for the spell, so that's not a terrible source of damage for the first thing. So for people who are new to Timespinner, I guess we could talk a little bit about this. The goal of the game is to find 5 pieces of the Timespinner. There are 3 gears, there's a spindle, and there's a Timespinner wheel. And all of those are necessary to open a door in the ancient pyramid, which will allow you to fight the final boss and win the game. But there's a lot of different decisions to be made along the way, a lot of different pieces of progression to pick up. Nochi? Oh, reset the room and had to go back to talk to the list.
We already got a Timespinner piece.
Nice. Okay, so we have an early gear. That is pretty promising, actually. We have an early gear, and we have a piece of progression if they ever get into the modern time period. Both of our runners immediately heading right. There's a decision a point to make kind of right at the beginning is there is a broken bridge that they can cross at the left in order to find a warp gate to move them further along, or they can just immediately head right and start going to Ilana's castle. And we see both of them heading right here, so no divergence yet. And here we go, our first divergence of the seed. So one of the things that we've got going on here is the Unchained Keys flag, which means that both of our runners are starting with the Twin Pyramid key, which is what is necessary to use these warp points, like the warp point that Nochibato is sitting at right now. And they will find access to other time periods, to the modern time period or the mysterious time period, by picking up beacons. There's an ancient beacon, a modern beacon, and a mysterious beacon. What we see here, though, is they are going to tag the warp in case they need it later on. We have Nochibato going down to the warp first, and SilentBrow going up top to the warp in front of the castle first. Oh, SilentBrow actually going to check Siren Cave. This is an unusual play. I like this. This is really interesting. So the problem with going to the Siren Cave right now, or the top of the Caves of Banishment, is there's a bunch of checks that you're not going to be able to get because you don't have the water mask. But there are 2 checks that are currently in logic. So those could potentially have something really useful, or they could have nothing. And it's kind of a bit out of the way to go get them. What do you think about this?
Yeah, especially without water mask, I would not have done this, but...
Well, I wouldn't have done it either, and I would have been wrong. That is that is an incredible payoff for SilentBrow for doing this. Light Wall is one of the 2 ways to get infinite vertical height, the other being Celestial Sash. And those, alongside with Double Jump, are the ways that our runners would get higher than the normal single jump capabilities. So getting an early Light Wall like this is a really, really big deal. That's going to open up a lot more room in the seed than Nochibato has. And if there's no other sources of good vertical early on, which there definitely doesn't have to be, that could break the seed wide open.
Well...
And immediately as I say it, Nochibato gets the better vertical movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is on sort of the critical path at this moment. Like, SilentBrow is going to go into that room next, and is going to pick up the Celestial Sash almost immediately. So he's probably feeling good about his Light Wall minus. And, was it plus? I think it might have been plus even, which is, I love Radiant. So if Light Wall is plus, that means that the Orb for it is plus as well, which is great. But he's just going to immediately pick up that Celestial Sash and see, oh, well, maybe I don't have the advantage I thought I did. What was minus? Okay. Well, can't win them all. So at this point, both of them have done almost the same things. Water Mask. Oh my god, the progression is
Very nice.
fast and furious. The moment I start talking about something, one runner immediately finds something amazing. It's like, oh, well, I guess I'm not talking about that thing anymore.
For sure.
This is shaping up to be quite the seed. They have a lot of access to almost everything right now. So Nochibato proceeding forward into what's called the basement loop here, which is kind of the natural next step for their progression. But what's interesting is after this loop, where are they going to go? I think it would make a lot of sense for them to go to the top of Ilana's towers to just continue on in the castle. But there is a lot of room. There's a lot of openings here.
Ooh, and we got the I Spy going on, and Nochibato just got the Eye Orb. Oh, yeah. Okay.
SilentBrow taking an unfortunate death. He's gonna watch those Hammer Giants. But
there we got that sash.
Yeah. Picking up the sash again and going through this this upper area of the castle. Or this entryway area to the castle. But you mentioned I Spy. That's actually a really good thing to talk about. So one of the ways in which this flag set for this year is different from last year's flag set is the Oculus Ring is required in order to get into any of the breakable walls. Normally, the Oculus Ring only tells you where those walls are, but the I Spy flag means that those walls won't open unless you have the Oculus Ring, which turns it into progression. Oh, Nochibato found a present warp. I didn't even know where that was. I was assuming that was somewhere in the basement loop.
I believe so, yes.
Well, did we see where it warps to?
I did not.
Okay, well, keep an eye open when SilentBrow gets to the, there it is. Missed it. I missed it, everybody. Yeah, everybody always scrolls past that text too quickly. I guess we'll find out when the,
when they start warping.
Yeah, once they start warping, if they look at the map. So with present warp open, that is an additional, like, choice as to where to go. Nochibato deciding to skip past the Golden Idol location and move straight into Upper Ilana's Tower, which with Celestial Sash, that makes a lot of sense. Celestial Sash is everybody's favorite piece of progression for this. Ilana's Tower is very vertical, so Celestial Sash makes moving through here fairly quick and pretty dense on checks, so probably worthwhile. Checks are going to be coming fast and furious here. Present sewers for the warp. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And they do have the key card. The key card was like the very first piece of progression they got. So the elevator key card is going to let them out of the present sewers and into just the general area of the present. So that's potentially important. SilentBrow now heading towards the Golden Idol location. We'll see if he'll take that fight. Nochibato kind of cruising through Ilana's towers at this point. So we got to keep an eye on them and see what progression they're getting, what items they're finding in the chests. SilentBrow presumably just finding the same things that Nochibato's already found. A little bit behind because of that death, that unfortunate death to the Hammer Giant. Silence Ring, some extra damage prevention. One of the very few defensive choices for rings. Mostly you find people choosing only the offensive options. SilentBrow making the same decision. Not looking at the Golden Idol boss location, since the boss only gates one single check and might take a while to fight. It's understandable, that seems to be the more common play this year. And now we're going to get to see who's at the Ilana location. Instead of Mom, we have found Dad.
Amazing.
So the boss randomization feature scales the random boss to the location that it's been found. So Volturilis, normally a relatively late game fight, taking the place of Ilana in Ilana's towers, means that their damage and HP are scaled down to the values that Ilana would normally have. And Nochibato doing some real good work here. Eye Orb is fantastic with the orb swapping technique that you see him using. Using the jewelry box to swap loadouts while the Eye Orb is out in the field, resets the cooldown on the Eye Orb, but the Eye Orb continues doing damage while it's out on the field. So you can get just a lot of stacking damage, and as you can see, makes quick work of the boss. And what are we gonna find? Nothing.
Absolutely zero.
Excellent. So we've got a few more checks here in Alana's Towers. I would expect Nochibato to go get those few checks, but what do you think we're going to see next out of this runner, Vera?
Ooh, I don't know. I have no idea. I have not seen Nochibato play before, so I don't know what he does in decision making. And since we just started this competition, basically, there isn't a general big strat going on just yet. So, I don't know.
Yeah, so far routing has been pretty open. We haven't found any, as you say, common strategies or two common strategies used.
Yes.
Siren's Cave, all right. Yeah, they've got the water mask, so this is a good time to go check that. No dip into the present yet. We haven't seen anybody go into the present Siren's Cave, which would be the upper sealed cave. Gas mask. All right. Gas mask used to be a lot more important. Now it only blocks 2 checks. But we'll see if that ends up being relevant to the seed. Almost seems like a truism that once you get the ability to get most of the checks, all progression is bait. I don't know if we're going to see anything past the laser gate. I don't know if there's going to be anything in gas mask. I don't know if any of the breakable walls are going to be relevant. But we'll see. Tablet. Wow, okay, water mask definitely paying off. Nochibato seeing the necklace on the ground, almost turning around, and coming back for Jin Inferno Plus, which is probably a good move. Jin Inferno, the highest DPS spell.
Wait, wasn't that minus?
Was it minus? Man,
I believe it was minus.
Unfortunate.
Too bad, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, it's probably still better than it's definitely better than Corruption Plus, even if it's minus.
Yes, for sure.
But we'll see if that makes it into Nochibato's loadout. All right, so Nochibato deciding they want to full clear the past before digging into the present. SilentBrow now clearing that same Ilana location that Nochibato's already cleared. So SilentBrow kind of following in Nochibato's footsteps. A step behind, unfortunately. But doing pretty much the same thing at about the same time pace, I think. I don't know if that fight went entirely faster or slower for either of the runners.
No, it went about the same.
Yeah. So with the water mask, all of these locations are going to be easy to check on the way, which is nice. You typically, like the 2 checks that Nochibato is getting right now in Lake Serene, are very easy to skip early on if you don't have the water mask and then you need to come back for them. But this way we're not orphaning any of the water checks, which is it doesn't make for interesting routing decisions, but it is, you know, a nice security blanket as a runner, knowing you're not missing anything. We got the Pink Bird cutscene, and then Nochibato's going to go out and in and see what the Cantorin fight is. I'm not sure if we quite saw what the text was. Elevator keycard D, interesting. I'll be back for that in a second. Was it Genza? Okay. Man, it's so hard for me to see what's going on.
It's so fast, I understand.
Yeah, right? But the Cantorin boss fight is one of those later game boss locations. I think it's 4,500. Ooh, the wheel. Okay, so that's very relevant. Yeah, Cantorin, one of those later game boss locations. I think it's 4,500 health. I might be slightly misrepresenting that. So if it's not a fight that you're comfortable with, or a fight that you feel like you're equipped with, probably a completely good idea to skip. But none of that is relevant right now because we found the wheel, which is definitely the most important time spinner piece. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, you'll be able to time stop with it, which is a way of vertical, but that's not really something to mention anymore due to both having Slash Tool Sass and Light Wall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can basically stop time, stop enemies in their place.
It's also... Ooh, okay, so SilentBrow made it to the present and found another gear. So we have an actual divergence here, but we know that both of them have gone to places that are going to be necessary for the other. There's the gear in the lab, and there's the wheel kind of on the critical route for that left side of the pass. So they're both almost assuredly going to find the other piece soon. But for now, they have kind of different paces. We've got Nightmare at the Big Bird spot. Showing up and getting beaten down pretty quickly. As Nochibato clears out that left side and moves on to the present. Yep, as expected.
Yep. Time to get that wheel.
Lasers in the library. So maybe we'll be able to get past the laser gate this seed. We'll see. Now that, just immediately swapping. So Nochibato going into the present, making his way to the library. SilentBrow going to the past, going back to the past and making his way to the left side. All of the areas that Nochibato just cleared. So SilentBrow should be picking up that wheel relatively soon. It's kind of immediately on the way. And Nochibato likewise. I don't think he's going to skip past the chest with the gear in it. It's, again, one of those that's like, you go to the library, you get all these checks. Nochibato critically has the tablet, though. So he's going to see more from the library than SilentBrow did.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So Nochibato definitely with an advantage here.
Do you remember where the tablet was and if Silent will pick him up soon?
The tablet was in the upper caves of banishment, so the past Siren's cave. And it might be a while before Silent decides to check there. So if there's anything important on the downloads, that's going to be real crucial for Nochibato. If there's not, then it doesn't make that much of a difference, but... Is he going to check Ifrit? He's not going to check Ifrit. Okay, that's fine.
Understandable still.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% understandable. Nochibato does have the D key card, which also SilentBrow didn't when going through here. So we got that room with the 3 chests in the upper left, and that gives Nochibato room to make it out the right side of the library, over to the Varndegree elevators, Varndegree towers. So Nochibato, making that decision immediately. There's that time spinner wheel for Silent.
Very nice.
Silent cruising through this upper area, burning the vines, much like Nochibato did. And heading over to the Azure Queen location, Big Bird.
Yeah,
where we find different Big Bird. What do you find?
Keycard A.
Woof. That is another piece of progression that maybe our runners wouldn't like to see. So the A key card opens a couple of very strictly late game locations, the Zarian Cave and a couple of Spider Hell locations, which are kind of a hassle to go get checks out of. So if A is necessary, that's a bummer. SilentBrow taking that Nightmare at Azure Queen fight now. Probably going to make short work of this as well. Nochibato going through the Varndegree elevators. And he's kind of spoiled for choice at this point, right? Like, he could be anywhere. He has almost all of the progression.
Yes, he could basically go everywhere.
I think we have the B key card. Looks like he's missing the C key card and the V key card. And we're missing that last laser for the laser gate. So this is another thing that is new for this year. The Prism Break flag means that instead of needing to fight 3 bosses in the past to open up the military hangar area, that's been turned into separate items. So you can just find these 3 items, the laser gates, and that's what opens up the military hangar. So neither of our runners have that as an option yet, although they have the relevant key card in order to get there. because they haven't found the third laser gate. Nochibato finding some new stuff over here in the elevator towers. SilentBrow still burning the vines and clearing out the upper Lake Serene area that Nochibato's already gone through. SilentBrow does have the option to go underwater here, which Nochibato didn't. Checking lower Lake Serene and checking the Caves of Banishment would be a pretty good play for Silent, since that's an area that Nochibato hasn't been, and would give him some forward motion. Nochibato finding Celestial Hairpin, which is double jump, which is nice to have, although not strictly necessary now that both of our runners have Celestial Sash, which is the better vertical. Galaxy Earrings.
Very nice.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? You know how that's changed since the last time we had a tournament?
Not exactly. I just know that instead of just 1 extra experience point, I believe, it now gives 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does a lot more scaling than it used to, so it's potentially a much more relevant piece of equipment instead of a probably useless piece of equipment. Nochibato now heading towards the Lake Desolation area of the present, churning through Varndegrade boot spot. And SilentBrow making SilentBrow making the choice I wanted him to make, which is going underwater in Lake Serene. So might head towards the Caves of Banishment, towards the Mothite, which the gas mask would be the gating item there, which SilentBrow also doesn't have. I guess that was also in the upper Caves of Banishment, in the Siren Caves in the past.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see if Silent goes for the Maw area or not. But so far there hasn't been another piece of like major progression. You know, we got kind of all the keycards and stuff very early on, all of the individual things that let you go almost anywhere. And both of our runners have been sitting on the same 3 pieces of the Timespinner for quite a while.
Now it's just choices they make.
Mm-hmm. We also critically don't have access to the Ancient Pyramid yet. We haven't seen a mysterious warp beacon. So if there's no separate access to the pyramid, then the third laser gate is going to become important, because the only way to get into the pyramid is going to be going through the lab. But we'll see what direction this goes. Finding a lot of different pieces of equipment. I think at this point it's going to be a matter of taste. There's a lot of pieces of decent neutral equipment. I think Eye Orb was neutral. And both of our runners currently sitting on Eye Orb as their primary choice. Oh no, it was Eye Orb was plus. Pretty good weapon. Is Nochibato gonna go for Zarian's Caves? Oh my god, okay. So we have SilentBrow in the past in the Caves of Banishment, and Nochibato in the present in the Sealed Caves. They're probably gonna, you know, do the time differential high five as they pass right by each other.
But then the question is, will SilentBrow actually fight the boss at the end, or will he warp out?
Yeah, as from SilentBrow's perspective, fighting the Maw at the end is out of logic, right? SilentBrow doesn't have that gas mask. We know that the gas mask is in logic. We know where the gas mask is. But SilentBrow hasn't seen it yet. So wouldn't surprise me if SilentBrow takes the skip the boss play that is popular for all of the most recent bosses. Nochibato also, I think Zarian is one of those bosses that people will take a look at and then not actually bother to fight, since it's just gating one last check at the end of these caves. But so far, nobody's plays are paying off. There's no more additional pieces of the Timespinner. There's the third laser, which is going to be either the third laser or the mysterious time beacon, are going to be the other important pieces of progression. Some way to get into the pyramid, but nothing's come up yet. Nochibato probably taking the save and quit strat that I think we saw Silent doing this earlier as well. There's an area that's kind of off to the side a little bit. You can go down there, check out what the items are, and if the items aren't important, you can just quit out back to the save at the start. Nope, Nochibato just taking it all. All right. Nochibato deciding that a berry pick-me-up and an aura, a max aura up, are worth it.
Hey, maybe they are.
Yeah, maybe they are. This is pretty interesting routing, made possible by the Celestial Sash. You kind of taking the bottom route and then going up top through that waterfall area, and then a little bit of backtrack to get one more item. I'm not sure. Maybe Nochibato picked that other item up before heading down to the bottom area. That's pretty good. That's some cool routing. I have to time that out and see whether or not I like it. An Eternal Coat for SilentBrow. We haven't talked much about equipment yet, but Eternal Coat is definitely the piece of body armor that our runners would like to see. It is the best both for offense and defense. For headpieces, our runners are going to be looking for the Eternal Crown or the Empire Crown. And accessories are all kind of to flavor. They don't really do that much. There's the Azure Stole and the Chaos Stole, which provide small boost to DPS. There's also some defensive options that, help against statuses or whatever. I think right now the only accessory that we've seen equipped is the Galaxy Earrings that we mentioned before, which improve your orb scaling, so that your orb gets, instead of 1 XP per kill, 15 XP per kill. SilentBrow finally getting into the Siren's Cave, so he's going to pick up that tablet, he's going to pick up that gas mask. This is a common way to get into the Siren Cave, by the way, the Upper Caves of Banishment. Going through kind of the Maw Caves and then coming up from that elevator in order to get to the rest of the stuff here. We'll see if he ends up. Yeah. Checking the map, that built-in tracker, very, very useful. And warping out. Done with the Siren Cave. So that leaves some one-offs in the past, but also still a lot of room in the present for Silent to explore. Okay. Silent warping to the warp that he'd already found on the on his way into the castle, which is the warp to the Siren's Cave here. So exploring the rest of the Siren's Cave via warping. Getting that gas mask. So now he knows. Now he knows about the gas mask. And Nochibato now following in Silent's footsteps, a bit of a reversal. Going into the Maw Caves and exploring the area. Silent. So Silent definitely has the option of going to the places that Nochibato's already been. But Vera, you and I know that's not going to get him much.
Anything. Yeah.
So I like this play as it opens up some checks that Nochibato hasn't seen. I think the other things to do are all of the various one-offs, right? The onesie-twosie checks, as they're called. Going back for Waterfall, going back for some of the breakable walls that they haven't broken open yet. Still no royal items, no pink items, so they can't open Mom's room.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Maw is a Maw.
Maw at Maw? Is this game even randomized?
Nah.
Yeah, SilentBrow now looking at his very unfilled map of the present and making the, in his shoes, given what he's seen, probably correct decision to go fill out more of the past. Ah, there is pink. Okay, so with the Royal Ring, they do have access to, I think, all of the past. Every check in the past is now accessible if they want to go get it. There are still, quick math in my head, I'm just going to guess a number, 6, 7, 8 something checks in the past that neither runner has looked at. But there's a bunch of room in the present that SilentBrow hasn't looked at. But all of this stuff is stuff that Nochibato has looked at. So we know it's not going to get him very far, unfortunately.
Yeah, since Silent is basically now in the footsteps of Nochibato, Nochibato's kind of going forwards, going to the checks that Silent has also already gotten.
Yeah, Nochibato definitely in
the lead.
Sorry, keep going.
Who do you think is kind of in the lead right now?
Well, Nochibato has definitely checked more areas than SilentBrow right now. So Nochibato, while currently looking at stuff that SilentBrow has seen, likewise, Silent is looking at stuff that Nochibato's already seen. Nochibato has more coverage. So unless SilentBrow decides to diverge before Nochibato does, like decides to just not check some of the areas that Nochibato's already checked, then Nochibato, just following sort of the same path, is going to be looking at new checks sooner.
Fair enough.
New checks are an advantage. Nochibato also fighting the Maw, so we're going to see those 2 checks in the present from Nochibato at some point soon. Here they are right now for Silent. Yo, the laser gate! Oh my god! Gas mask was relevant!
Dang.
Right? That's so rare.
Oh, you've seen it there first, folks.
Well, that means that Silent has access to new stuff earlier than Nochibato does. So if he decides to take advantage of that soon, that could be an advantage for Silent. That could be what Silent needs to get back into this race.
Yep. The only question is, will he?
Yeah, absolutely. Since there's still a bunch of the past to go through, right? Or a bunch of the present to go through that he hasn't yet. He's going to finish off here, and then he could check Lower Desolation. He could check Zarian's Cave, and all of that is stuff that Nochibato's already seen. Oh, he's gonna believe in the lasers, man. Silent.
Oh.
This is a good move. This is a good move, and it's I don't think the move that I would make. Silent's a bolder man than I. I love this. I love this. I hope it works out. Nochibato actually going back and doing those onesie-twosie checks that I was talking about. So there's the breakable wall on the way to the castle. There's the waterfall checks. We haven't seen these, but the odds are not good given that we know where Lasergate is. The Lasergate access is. Silent taking the detour into the elevators. Yeah, and how's he to know? Oh, security keycard A. Don't get distracted, Silent. Fingers crossed for you. Nochibato maybe going for the Canterin fight here? Or going for the underwater checks. Yeah, here we go. Underwater in Lake Serene. I believe Silence already checked these, but I could be wrong.
I believe so too, and there was nothing.
Yeah, I think there was a whole lot of nothing in a whole lot of places. SilentBrow running into the wall that is unopened sea doors. Empire Crown. That's a nice piece of equipment. Alright. SilentBrow going for the Siren Caves. We haven't seen this from Nochibato yet either. So this could be potentially very useful. Not, notably, gated behind the laser gate. So none of this stuff, this stuff is stuff that Nochibato does have access to if he wanted to go here. But as of yet, is not a place we have seen either runner get to. So potentially useful. What do you think of the seed so far, Vera? Has it lived up to your cursed expectations?
That cursed. It like progression went very fast, and now we're just waiting for them to check the correct checks.
That's true. That's a lot of Timespinner ends up being this kind of item hunt, right? So you get to this point with 3 of the Timespinner pieces found, 4 of the Timespinner pieces found, and it's just, all right, well, which one of the many remaining open checks has the one thing that I need in order to get into go mode?
Yeah, exactly. Timespinner Gear 3.
Yup. So after being behind for the majority of the seed, SilentBrow has picked up Timespinner Gear 3 ahead of Nochibato.
Yeah, Nochibato is following him though, so we're probably gonna see that pretty fast from him too.
Yep. And if Silent takes the time to go through the elevator keycard checks that Nochibato's already done, then that might put him behind again. But if he races to the right immediately and gets into the lab, that's area that nobody's been. So we'll see what decision Silent wants to make. It's really interesting to see the decisions that these two runners are taking. Both of them, this is their first tournament, so they're relatively new to the scene. SilentBrow, I believe, joined the Timespinner Discord only within the past month or so, whereas Nochibato's been around, I think, from the Archipelago side for at least a year. So maybe has a little bit more practice, a little bit more familiarity with Timespinner. But SilentBrow, clearly no slouch.
Going
even
through
relatively
Spider
new to the game. Yep, so using that A keycard in order to get into the Spider Hell room in the elevator towers. Seeing what he can find. Berry pick-me-up. Yep, as is tradition. But that red wall is a solid barrier. You can't walk through it. You can't damage boost through it. Nochibato checking out the Ifrit location. Ifrit at Ifrit. Okay, sure.
Is this randomized?
Trying to get the there's a little bit of a cheese spot underneath Ifrit. If you make it there in time, you can get there while he's transforming, and then he won't be able to hurt you if you're just under him the entire time. But even without that, Ifrit is a very predictable fight. Lots of big swingy attacks, lots of very telegraphed attacks that hit very hard because Ifrit is a late game boss fight, but are pretty easy to avoid. Past time beacon, time worn warp beacon. So not the beacon that they were looking for. Unfortunately, no progression out of the Ifrit fight.
Too bad.
Nochibato at this point digging for that last laser. We did see that he killed the Maw, so we know that he has access to the location that laser is in, but he hasn't yet gone to those last two checks on top of Lake Serene, or on top of Lake Desolation. SilentBrow, I think at this point, still checking stuff that Nochibato has seen, but in the right place to head to new stuff soon. We'll see. This is it. This is the critical decision. Silent, where are you headed? Nochibato going through the underside of Lake Desolation now, which is stuff that I believe Silent has seen. And this should put him on the path towards picking up the two captain's chests, as they're called, which are the two chests gated by killing whoever's at the Maw location. Here we go. SilentBrow moving into the military hangar. The guy are in logic. Silent has the wheel. So potentially relevant. Oh my god, this is stuff Silent hasn't seen. Nochibato has the spindle. Silent hasn't been down here.
Oh my. Okay, so now he only needs the warp beacon, doesn't he?
Yeah, so Nochibato either needs the warp beacon or needs to get that third laser in order to be able to get through the time spinner at the lab in order to make it to the ancient pyramid. But that is go mode for Nochibato. Like at this point, once he finds the last piece of the laser gate or the mysterious warp beacon, that's go mode. But that's a place that SilentBrow is going to need to come back to, which is really unfortunate for him, because there's a lot of checks moving forward. There's a lot of places to check on the way here, while SilentBrow is investigating the lab. Oh, Nochibato's still not going for that last gate piece. Yeah, SilentBrow is going to be checking all these places, and unless it has a mysterious warp beacon, they're all going to be irrelevant. Oh no, SilentBrow potentially in a really dangerous position here. Yeah, Nochibato going back for some of the Oculus checks. So this is one of the neat things about iSpy, is it means that there is a bunch of orphan checks in places that you've already been to, right? A bunch of breakable walls that you just couldn't get to when you were first going through these locations, and now you have to find the time to route them in kind of later and backtrack and go get them.
Although they didn't get the eye orb that late.
That's true. It was just in the basement loop, right?
Was that the warp beacon that Silent just got?
Yeah, so Silent now has the mysterious warp beacon. So he doesn't actually need to fight all the way through the lab in order to get to the pyramid. Which is good news for him. However, he still needs to make the right call to go back to Lake Desolation area in order to get the spindle. So I think if unless he has the galaxy brain idea to go back and check that, I think it's not a normal thing for a runner to do at this point. Like this,
yeah,
I'm not check the rest of the lab, you check Emperor's Towers, you go to the pyramid. Maybe the pyramid has your last piece of the time spinner. So it's not looking super good for Silent. Nochibato taking the Ravenlord fight. Where is this? That's a very quick Ravenlord fight. Must be an early Golden Idol. Okay, yeah. So now we see who's at the Golden Idol location. Ravenlord, fortunately, weak to Eye Orb. So Eye Orb Plus, definitely quite the beater here. And Nochibato, at some point, Nochibato's going to realize that he has access to the captain's chests. And then we're going to see Nochibato following Silent's footsteps, almost assuredly going to pick up that mysterious warp beacon on the way. Although, when Nochibato gets the last laser, he's going to be in actual go mode, right? He's not going to need any more chests, not going to need any more anything. So he might make the decision to just race through and not open any chests, which is going to be a little bit slower for him. So SilentBrow potentially has that advantage if he doesn't end up too distracted by the progression that he finds himself in, right? He still needs to go back and get that spindle. Otherwise it's all over.
Yeah.
Rooting for you, Silent. Silent's still cleaning up the lab. There's a couple of checks here and there that he hasn't gotten, and then he's going to be racing his way towards Genza. Shadow Seal, another nice to have. Checking the Ravenlord spot? Alright. Yep, military hangar's still laser gated. Sorry, Nochi, you gotta find that gate. Azure Queen at Ravenlord spot. Oh, the birds just swapped places. Azure Queen doesn't have a lot of good weaknesses, so this is actually a slightly harder fight than you might expect. Azure Queen, when scaled up, has some kind of difficult to dodge attacks, so does with more damage, she can get really dangerous. Bombardment Plus, what a spell. We have a new favorite. Chaos Blades. Friendship with Chaos Blades ended. Bombardment Plus is new best friend. Wow, Bombardment Plus and Shattered Plus in the same room.
Dang.
For all your blunt damage needs. And an Eternal Crown for our boy here. Silent deciding to stick with the Empire Crown, which definitely a valid decision. Eternal Crown, slightly better defense. Empire Crown, slightly better offense. Most runners are going to pick the items that give them more damage. So the Empire Crown, I think, is generally more desirable. Nochibato finally went to the Captain's Chest locations and picked up that last laser gate. So is he just go-moding this, or are we going to see some checks? All right. Poking his head into a couple of rooms on the way, but definitely skipping some other chests. Yeah, Nochibato's not going to check the lab, right? Nochibato's just going to go-mode the lab and skip the mysterious warp beacon. So he's probably still going to have to go do the Genza fight. Which it looks like Kantarin's at Genza, based on what SilentBrow's fighting now. And Silent, here's the moment of truth. Oh no, SilentBrow's heading to the Emperor's Towers. So there's a lot of room in the Emperor's Towers. There's a lot of checks to get. This is a completely reasonable decision to make from SilentBrow's perspective. Unfortunately, it's the wrong one. Love that room reset glitch. So yeah, Nochibato just going through the lab and not checking anything that's not just directly on his path, which makes sense, right? Being able to go mode the lab is a gift. You don't look that gift in the mouth. But it does mean that he's not going to get the extra time advantage of finding the mysterious warp beacon.
No, but on the other hand, He is in go mode. He just
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
get through this, and he'll be fine. Whereas SilentBrow has to go back to where he basically has already been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's so much progression still to do here. So many checks.
Yep, and also he's in the point where going back is like, okay, you have this many checks that were all orphaned at around the same time, you know, all of these one-off checks that it's like, okay, 15 seconds to warp to here and pick up the check and then go get something else, and then warp to there and pick up a check and then go get something else. And it's like, which of these decisions are you going to make? While Nochibato is immediately headed to the pyramid. So, 2 options for boss fights here. I saw Prince Nuvius on the left, which was the one that Nochibato chose. This is the lower HP slot. So it makes sense to fight this one if you don't have a huge type advantage for the one on the right. And Nochibato really showing off that orb swapping. And eyebrow, the eye orb, just incredibly powerful at this point. What with all of the scaling from the galaxy earrings. So Nochibato heading into the ancient pyramid on his way towards that final 2 boss fights of the game. SilentBrow still hunting for the spindle. Checking the Ifrit location. Understandable. Understandable. This is one of those many one-off locations that might have a thing that you need. Ah, there you go. SilentBrow showing off the Ifrit cheese. So, ducking underneath Ifrit like this, you can get into this position while Ifrit is still transforming and doesn't have a hitbox. And there's nothing Ifrit can do to hurt you from here.
So, are we gonna see Boots as our last boss?
Final Boots! Let's go, Final Boots! SilentBrow picking up that time-worn warp beacon. Also not useful. None of this useful. Literally one thing that is useful. We also don't know where the warp location is in the pyramid, right? If it's that right warp location, the one that Nochibato hasn't quite hit yet, then SilentBrow might still be somewhat in the running if he goes quickly.
He has to go really fast, though.
Yeah. He's just got to make the right decision immediately, and it doesn't look like the right decision is the immediate thing that he's going to go do.
Yeah,
Oh, no, he is! This is it!
Oh.
This is it! This could be it. Oh my god, it's actually so much closer than it looks. If SilentBrow is making the right decision here, which is what it looks like he's doing, then he could be picking up the spindle and then warping straight to the pyramid, right? He doesn't need to go through that extra boss fight that Nochibato went through.
No final Boots.
Penultimate Boots. We got Boots in the Sandman spot, so the second to last boss fight. And then we'll see what the last boss fight is. But SilentBrow, wow! Maybe half a minute behind Nochibato right now. There's that spindle and the immediate warp. Yep.
Of course. Okay, where's that?
Oh, it is. It's the good location, too. Yeah, he's maybe 30 seconds behind Nochibato. Oh my god, this is so close. If Nochibato screws up this fight, SilentBrow has it. I don't think he will. Nochibato has shown real good execution so far. But also, these are one of the higher damage boss fight locations in the game. So if they're difficult bosses for the locations, then that might be trouble. Moving into the Alana fight. Okay. This is not a bad fight to see here. So SilentBrow fighting Boots, just as Nochibato, man, entering the Boots fight right as Nochibato entered the Alana fight. Like, 30 seconds between the 2 runners. Oh my god, so close.
In the end, it's gotten so close together. That's amazing.
Right?
They're so close.
There it is. SilentBrow now moving into the Alana fight. It's whoever kills Alana first. Nochibato on a, maybe 20-second lead here now. Oh, and there it is. Wow. At 48, we have a 48:04 race time finish for Nochibato. And SilentBrow using some consumables, but he'll be out of here almost immediately. Narrowly keeping himself alive. Good use of potions. But this should be it in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. There it is. That's it. SilentBrow finishing with a race time of 48:44.
Very nice times, both of them.
GG's to both our runners. Let's see if we can get them into into the room for a post interview. How do I do this? Do I have to manually send them an invite? I think it automatically sends them an invite, right? When they mark done. Oh, I have to mark them done. Then it'll send them the invite. I remember now. Okay, cool. But that should send them an invite. We'll see if they want to come in. Oh, and here is SilentBrow. How was the race, Silent?
Oh, that was yeah, pretty close by the looks of it.
It was very close. There was a lot of kind of running around and going to different places, and I think you were both sitting on 3 pieces of the time spinner for the majority of the seed at about the same progression. What did you think about the routing? Kind of sent you all over the place.
Yeah, it kind of did. I think at the end it just came down to who checked which lucky area out of like the remaining. I was thinking maybe I should have done like under Lake Desolation sooner, but
I mean, it's hard to know, right? Any
exactly.
chest
It's
has
like
just as much
know,
of a chance of any other chest.
Exactly. But yeah, it was good. Not a terrible seed. Early Sash was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, finishing within 30 seconds of each other is pretty good, right? That's a pretty good race. I think both of you did an excellent job.
I definitely was unfortunate when I died to... What did I die to?
Yeah, that was a rough one. One of the Hammer Giants, I think?
Yeah,
Hammer
I just
Giantess?
like ran into them. I was like, I'll get past it. Nope.
Yeah, no, right in the early game, they deal a lot lot for when you get there. So that's pretty rough.
But yeah, I'm happy with how this went, considering I only started playing the game like a couple of weeks ago. So
That's really impressive.
I'm gonna send Nochibato a message.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about the seed, about the race?
No, it was nice to have a seed where not everything was a negative orb for once.
That's true. You had some good options. Getting that IOR plus must have felt really nice.
Yeah, it was definitely very nice. But yeah, like a lot of my practice seeds have been like negative and negative orbs like the entire run. So it's like really rough. So this was quite a nice change.
Looks like Nochibato got an invalid invite. Let me see if I can invite him. We'll see if that takes.
Yeah, hopefully I'd love to get his opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, getting all of that progression very early on, right? Like you had infinite vertical almost immediately.
Yeah.
You had Water Mask relatively early on. You had Oculus Ring relatively early on. Like
yeah, just like the entire
scene
game
is just
was
open.
open. Yeah. I was very glad killing more paid off. I was like, this is a risk, but oh well, we'll go for it. But yeah, the gas mask kind of sent me there, I think.
You were very lucky getting that warp beacon in like the nicest spot you can get him, right next to the bosses.
Oh
that made
yeah.
such a big difference. That made like the 30 seconds or so. What was it? Like that made the difference there. That was beautiful to see.
Oh, did Nochi not have the other warp beacon?
No, he did not.
Oh wow.
He did not. He went straight through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nochibato picked up the spindle before picking up that last piece of the laser gate.
Oh.
Whereas you got the laser gate, made it all the way through, and then went back for the spindle.
Yeah.
But because of the positioning of the warp beacon, Nochibato didn't pick up the warp beacon in the lab. So he fought through, I think, the young dad, and then through all the pyramid, and you warped basically straight to that boss fight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we can't get the invites working.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, if either of you know how to send an invite to get him into this channel, I can try one more thing. Try one more thing. Weird. I had the same problem when I was trying to get into the Discord, and Vera was able to make an invite for me, and that worked.
Yes, I'm right now gonna see if I can send him the invite link.
Okay, yeah. Let's see if you try it.
Yeah, I just did. Hope he can join.
Yeah, Dad or Dad at Genza, and then Ma at Ma, and then who else? Oh, Ifrit at Ifrit.
Yeah, it's so like random. A lot of vanilla sauces.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we can't get Nochibato in here, then I think that's about all we've got. Vera, any questions?
No, I'm just trying to. Yeah, no, all the keys are invalid for Nochibato, so sadly he won't be joining.
Okay. Well, quality race by both of you. Just almost a photo finish right at the end. Very close. Silent, this is not the end of your tournament life. There is the second chance bracket, as people have been taking to call it, which I love.
Yeah.
And let me bring up the bracket. Maybe I can see who's coming up on some of the future future matches. Where are you two? Okay, so the winner of this, Nochibato, is going to go face the winner of Winfei Maiden and Rowan Maru. So that's a match that hasn't happened yet, and I think is not yet scheduled. So we'll see when that happens. And Silent, you are headed to...
Within the loser of that same match.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yep, loser of that same match. Okay, cool.
So that is definitely gonna be one I'll be watching.
Yeah, one of Winfei Maiden or Rowan Maru. That's gonna be a match to watch. Winfei is someone who has some speedrunning experience with this game.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm sure it'll be a great match. But I think that's it for us. Silent, any shoutouts?
No, not particularly, except for the person that got me into the game that had their race the other day was Ladybun.
Yeah, Ladybun also a new runner, and
yes.
honestly did a fantastic job.
Yeah, she did
in her
very
race.
good.
Like her against Urza MTG was a really good one. If you want to go back and watch the VOD, I'd recommend it. But that's gonna be it for us. Follow our runners. I think we have a runners command. Yeah, follow our runners on Twitch. Follow Speedgaming. Shoutouts to Speedgaming for hosting this tournament, this whole series, honestly. And check out any of the future matches that are coming up. But that's it for me. Vera, final words?
No final words here. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks everybody for being here, and catch you next time.